A massive coronary last year robbed British industry of one of its most colourful figures, Sir Tom Crittenden. Knighted in 1966 for his services to industry, Sir Tom laid the foundations of his fortune mining for copper in the Belgian Congo. His will left half his assets to his wife, Lady Dorothy, the other half to be divided equally between his children, Bernard and Kate. But in the December following his death, a young man turned up in London, also claiming to be Sir Tom's son by an early marriage in Africa. Today, however, in Fulchester Crown Court, that same young man, Raoul Lapointe, stands accused of obtaining money by deception. Miss Helen Tate, prosecuting, is attempting to show that he is an impostor who set out to derive financial benefit by representing himself as Sir Tom's son.
You are Wilfred Bowers, senior partner in the firm Bowers, Hartley and Bowers Solicitors, and you live at Overton House, Fulchester.
Yes.
Were you connected with the late Sir Tom Crittenden, Mr. Bowers?
I was. For over 20 years, my firm had the privilege of acting as family solicitors to Sir Tom.
And do you still maintain connections with the Crittenden family?
I do. After Sir Tom's death, Lady Dorothy asked me to represent her interests. From time to time, Mr. Bernard is good enough to approach me for advice too, and I'm also an executor of Sir Tom's estate.
Mr. Bowers, have you ever met the accused in this case, Raoul Lapointe?
I have. Oh, yes, indeed. On the 10th of December last, that would be about a month after Sir Tom's death, I received a letter from Mr. Lapointe saying that he had just arrived in London from Kinshasa and had something of the greatest urgency to discuss with me. He said it concerned Sir Tom Crittenden and the matter of his will.
Kinshasa being the Congolese town formerly known as Leopoldville, before independence.
That's right.
Mr. Bowers, before we go any further, I wonder if you could tell me the value of Sir Tom Crittenden's estate. I have a feeling it to be of great help to us.
Why, we're still trying to clear things up, my lord. Even so long after the event, Sir Tom's interests were greatly diversified, you understand.
An approximation would do, Mr. Bowers.
Then, in round figures, I should say Sir Tom was worth £12 million when he died, before duty, that's to say.
And how did the will dispose of these assets?
Oh, in the simplest manner. There were certain bequests, then half to Lady Dorothy outright, the other half to be divided equally between his living legitimate offspring.
His living legitimate offspring. Those were the terms of the will.
Yes.
I see. So it means, in fact, that with duty paid, the living legitimate offspring, whoever they might be, could look forward to something like £5 million to be shared among them.
Yes.
That is a considerable sum of money, Mr. Bowers.
Quite, my lord.
Very well.
Mr. Bowers, did Raoul Lapointe come to see you in your chambers after his initial approach to you by letter?
Yes, he did. Exactly a week later, it was, on December the 17th.
And what did he tell you on that occasion?
Well, he said that he was the son of an early marriage between Sir Tom Crittenden and an African woman in the Katanga district of the Congo. He said the marriage had ended in divorce and that his mother was now dead, but that he was the legitimate son of his father and therefore, under the terms of the will, entitled to a share of the estate.
And what was your response to that, Mr. Bowers?
Well, in the first place, I was simply astounded. I wondered if I might not be in the presence of a dangerous lunatic. Sir Tom had never on any occasion said anything to me about a youthful marriage, let alone a child of it.
Never on any occasion?
No.
Had Mr. Lapointe anything to support his claim at that time?
In a sense. He had a couple of documents. The first was a marriage certificate naming the parties as one Mary Caballo of Sampwe Katanga and Thomas Alfred Crittenden of Birmingham, England. The officiating minister and acting registrar had subscribed to himself the Reverend August Van Helm, Baptist Mission Sampwe. The date on this certificate was March the 21st, 1946.
And the other document?
That was a birth certificate dated May the 2nd, 1947. It recorded the birth of a male child, Raoul Edouard, and gave the names of the mother and father just as on the marriage certificate. Again, the acting registrar was August Van Helm. After the names Raoul Edouard on the certificate, however, the surname Lapointe had been entered in brackets in what seemed to me to be a different hand.
Mr. Bowers, will you look at these documents, please? Are these the documents shown to you by Lapointe?
Yes.
My lord, may these documents be entered as exhibits. The marriage certificate as Exhibit 1 and the birth certificate as Exhibit 2.
Yes, indeed. But to one of these documents, some kind of investigatory report seems to be attached.
That is so, my lord. It is an agreed document. I'll come to it in due course.
I see. Thank you, Miss Tate.
So, Mr. Bowers, what did you do about these documents?
I got in touch with the Attorney General's Department of the Zaire Legation in London. Zaire is the modern name for the Congo. I asked for expert help, sent off the documents, and by the end of January, I had an official reply on my desk.
Which stated?
Why, that as far as the Zaire authorities could discover, both documents were completely genuine.
As far as the Zaire authorities could discover?
Well, things were difficult, for by all accounts. Their country had been through several major upheavals since the dates concerned, and particularly in the case of Katanga, things still remained in a critical state of disorganization. It was plain there'd been a marriage anyway, if only because the divorce files still existed in Kinshasa. I was sent a photostat of it. The date of the decree was January the 14th, 1947.
What was that date again?
January the 14th, 1947, my lord.
But that is only 10 months after the date of marriage.
Yes, my lord.
I see.
Mr. Bowers, were you reasonably satisfied that Raoul Lapointe was what he said he was, a son of the late Sir Tom Crittenden by an earlier marriage in Africa?
Oh, no. I wasn't satisfied in the least about that.
Why not?
Well, whatever the truth of the marriage, it was simply impossible to check anything regarding the birth of the child Raoul Edouard, you see. The Baptist mission at Saint-Pouet had long ceased to exist, put to the torch during the tribal fighting, and all records destroyed so far as we could discover. Then again, even if the statement had been true about there being a birth certificate, how on earth were we to know if the man who had turned up calling himself Raoul Lapointe was actually the individual concerned?
Did the accused attempt to explain his difference in surname, at the same time claiming to be the son of Sir Tom Crittenden?
Yes, he said that Sir Tom had made a generous settlement on his mother at the time of the divorce, but only on condition that she agreed his child would never bear his name publicly. The bracketed name Lapointe on the birth certificate was therefore in the mother's hand, evidence of her compliance with this demand.
I see. And what was the next development, Mr. Bowers?
Oh, I informed Lady Dorothy of Mr. Lapointe's advent. In mid-January, I invited her to my office to meet him quite informally, and she brought her children Bernard and Kate.
What was discussed at this meeting?
Oh, very little. I told Lapointe that I was still waiting to hear from the Zaire authorities. Lady Dorothy requested simply that there should be no publicity until matters were settled one way or the other, when she might choose to make an announcement herself.
Did you see Lapointe again after that?
Yes, Mr. Lapointe called on me again and said he was critically short of money and could I advance him some.
Did you do that, Mr. Bowers?
Yes, on February the 9th, I let him have £1,000.
And that was the end of it?
No, 3 weeks later, he called on me again. This time, he said he needed the deposit on a flat to set himself up in reasonable style, pending his settlement, which, in the absence of any unexpected opposition, was still more and more secure. Therefore, on the 28th of February, I advanced him a further £5,000.
Making 6,000 in all?
6,000 in all.
Was this money belonging to the estate, Mr. Bowers?
Oh, good gracious, no. No, I mentioned it to Lady Dorothy, and she authorized us to make the payment on her behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Bowers.
Mr. Bowers, did you carry on with your inquiries after you'd advanced money to my client?
No.
Why not?
Mr. Bernard asked if he might have Lapointe's certificates for forensic tests.
And you let Mr. Bernard have the certificates?
Yes?
When was that, please?
Oh, about February the 3rd.
And he kept them until when?
Early March, when everything changed again.
Quite. You didn't think of carrying on with your inquiries without the certificates. Why not?
Well, Lady Dorothy suggested that Mr. Bernard's inquiries might render further work unnecessary, and I thought she was obviously right.
I see. Mr. Bowers, if you had pursued your inquiries into Raoul Lapointe by sending representatives to West Africa, what form would these inquiries have taken precisely?
Well, I thought it might be of advantage to establish the fate of the Baptist mission at Saint-Pouet, if that were possible, and particularly what had happened to the old missionary, Auguste van Helm. I thought if he was still alive, he might be able to help us a good deal.
Oh, in what way?
Well, Mr. Lapointe said that the mission had educated him up to the age of 16. After his mother, there was no one he trusted more than Van Helm. In 1962, however, came the Katanga riots and his mother was killed. European missionary foundations were especially at risk. Mr. Lapointe simply had to flee to Kinshasa. He never heard of Saint-Pouet or Auguste Van Helm again.
Mr. Bowers, were you personally responsible for drawing up Sir Tom Crittenden's will?
Sir Tom and I drew it up together, yes.
Was it Sir Tom's idea, then, to describe his children merely as living legitimate offspring?
Yes. Yes, as I recall, he insisted on that wording.
Why? Wouldn't you say that was a strange wording? Seeming to imply that there might be illegitimate children, perhaps, or even other legitimate children who might in due time arise and lay claim to an inheritance.
Nonsense. Sir Tom wasn't a devious man in referring to his children as living legitimate offspring. He was no doubt simply indulging his well-known passion for clarity and accuracy. Long years in the business world had taught him the importance of clear definition.
You're convinced, then, that if Sir Tom had fathered a son by an early marriage in Africa, he would have acknowledged the fact cheerfully and even made open provision in his will for the boy.
Of course. Why not? He would have had nothing to be ashamed of. Sir Tom was an honourable man.
I see, Mr. Bowers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowers.
You may leave the box, Mr. Bowers.
I call Lady Dorothy Crittenden, my lord.
Lady Dorothy Crittenden, please.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You're Lady Dorothy Crittenden of 84 Court Street, Fulchester, and also of the Penningtons, Burton Cross, Somerset.
That's correct.
Lady Dorothy, in December of last year, you were approached by your solicitor, Wilfred Bowers, with information which might be described as a novel character.
I was. Mr. Bowers called on me to say he'd been contacted by a young man called Raoul Lapointe, who claimed to be the son of my late husband, Sir Tom Crittenden, by an earlier marriage to an African woman in the Congo.
And did you subsequently meet Raoul Lapointe, the accused, and in his presence did you give Mr. Bowers certain instructions?
I did. I told him he was to investigate the young man's claim fully and fairly, without prejudice. That's how much of a fool I was. That young man is an impostor and a fraud. He deserves no consideration from decent people or from this court. Raoul Lapointe is a liar and a thief.
Lady Dorothy, you did not believe Lapointe's story, then?
No, I didn't. But I did know about the marriage to the Katangan woman. In fact, I had good reason to know all about that.
Could you expand on that a little for us, please?
Yes, of course. I'd known Tom since 1942. Our families were very close, and, well, I suppose it was always taken for granted that we'd get married someday. But after the war, Tom felt the need to prove himself before settling down, so he was sent out to West Africa, where there were tremendous possibilities in the mining industry at that time. We began to hear that he was doing very well, and then phenomenally well. And then in the spring of 1946, I had a strange letter.
A letter, Lady Dorothy?
Yes, it really was very strange. It was disjointed, incoherent, most unlike Tom. In it he said he hoped I'd understand what he had to tell me because it was very difficult to write. He'd now decided that his future lay in the Congo with the Katangan people, whom he'd come to admire wholeheartedly. And in order to demonstrate his closeness to them, he'd taken a wife from among his new friends, a tribal woman.
This letter presumably caused you great distress, Lady Dorothy.
Well, I tried not to think of myself. There were other, greater considerations. But I felt there was something very wrong, that Tom needed help. My father agreed with me, and he and Tom's father flew out to the Congo to see what was going on. Then the truth came out, and I saw how right I'd been to worry.
The truth? And what was that, Lady Dorothy?
Why, that Tom was desperately ill. And the Katangan woman had, well, I suppose seduced is too strong a word, but, well, had seen an excellent opportunity for herself and grasped it without hesitation. Tom had gone up to a remote area called Sampue. He'd been taken ill with fever. It was a dreadful bout, apparently. And he was looked after by an old Belgian missionary from the Sampue hospital, assisted by the Katangan woman, who was something of a nurse. Now, to be fair, I don't think she was a particularly grasping sort of woman. It was just that, well, Tom imagined he was in love with her, and she encouraged that. Even to consenting when, in a fit of near delirium, as we found out later, he proposed marriage to her. Of course, the attitude of the old missionary remains odd. Well, I mean, he married them. Well, one would think that any European, however long he'd been in the wilds, would think...
Is your client not well, Mr. Harvester?
If he might be, give me some water, my lord.
Oh, by all means.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Lapointe apologizes for the interruption, my lord. He was just momentarily overcome.
Very well. Continue, please, Miss Tate.
My lord. So, Lady Dorothy, it was discovered that the young Tom Crittenden had contracted a marriage with a Katangan woman while suffering the effects of fever.
Yes. Tom was brought back to civilization, Leopoldville, that is, and I went out to meet him. The arrangements for the divorce were put in train immediately, and, well, Tom seemed pitifully grateful. He quite realized that he'd been in an unreal state of mind. A remarkably generous settlement was arranged for the Katangan woman, £10,000, I think, a fortune for her.
You were concerned in the divorce arrangements, were you, Lady Dorothy?
Well, I was there at the time. I looked after Tom in an hotel while our fathers saw to the legal details.
Now, was there at this time the mention of a child of the marriage that Tom had contracted?
No, never.
Or of the likelihood of a pregnancy on the part of Marie Caballo?
No.
At any time during your subsequent marriage to Sir Tom Crittenden, did he ever say that there had been offspring or the possibility of offspring of this earlier union?
No. He never even referred to the marriage again. It was buried deep in a forgotten past.
Now, Lady Dorothy, you gave instructions for money to be advanced to Mr. Lapointe. Why did you do that? Did you believe that he might well be your late husband's son?
Well, I never believed it. It began to bother me, and I couldn't sleep at night. So I sent for Raoul Lapointe, and I said that as there were areas of doubt, he should have some money for the time being.
And what was Lapointe's response to that, Lady Dorothy?
Very favorable. He even thanked me for my understanding. It was only later, as he was leaving the house, that I...
Yes?
Well, I overheard him talking to my daughter Kate, and this surprised me, because I wasn't aware that they were familiar. He was saying, that was easy. That was just too easy. If the rest is half as easy, I shall make out I'm twins. Whoever put it around that honesty was the best policy. And they laughed.
He said all this to your daughter, Kate?
Yes.
I see. Thank you, Lady Dorothy.
Lady Dorothy, wasn't the real reason that you advanced money to my client that you hoped he would drop his guard and give you room to maneuver?
Young man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, very well, Lady Dorothy. Let me ask you something which I trust you will understand. Mr. Bowers was anxious to find out if the old missionary, Mr. Van Helm, was still alive. Shouldn't he have been encouraged in that enterprise?
Well, why? It seemed to me most unlikely that the old man could still be alive. Apparently he was advanced in years when he married them.
Lady Dorothy, would you really have wanted his testimony in the matter if, in fact, the old man was still alive?
My lord, must I be subjected to such pointless and offensive questions?
You are perhaps being somewhat aggressive, Mr. Havers, dear. But, Lady Dorothy, the motivation of witnesses, including your own, are of vital importance to us here, and I think you should make every effort to answer the question.
Very well. Naturally, I had no reason for not wanting Van Helm to be found, if he was still alive.
A moment, Mr. Havers, dear. Have we any way, in fact, of finding out if Mr. August Van Helm is alive or dead?
My lord, the defense has tried very hard to find him, but unfortunately without success.
I see. Thank you.
Lady Dorothy, tell me, what was the reaction of your children to the news that a young African was claiming to be their half-brother?
Well, my son Bernard was shocked and alarmed. He'd always loved and respected his father, and this tale of some former marriage of a child, well, he found it quite incredible. My daughter, on the other hand, Kate, chose to be amused.
I see. Did that cause division in the family?
You could put it like that.
Now, you've told us that you overheard a conversation between your daughter and Mr. Lapointe, which you thought was both sinister and significant. Did you later on discuss that conversation with your daughter?
I tried to, but Kate refused to speak to me. I don't understand Kate in this matter. From the beginning, she seemed to think it was some sort of an achievement to have a African half-brother.
Lady Dorothy, does the name Lapointe have some special significance for you?
I don't understand.
Oh, I think you do, Lady Dorothy. Haven't you heard the name Lapointe a little closer to home, shall we say?
Oh, very well. As it happens, Lapointe was the maiden name of my late husband's mother. They were a Jersey family. But this doesn't prove anything. Merely that Mr. Lapointe organized his defenses very carefully before visiting this disgusting hoax on me and my family.
Lady Dorothy, that is not an acceptable observation at this point.
Please, my lord, can't we have the truth at last? I have nothing more to tell this court. Of course Lapointe is a liar, only after money. He isn't even remotely what he pretends to be. Even that birth certificate he presented to Mr. Bowers is a fraud, a blatant forgery. It's been proved.
The case of the Queen against Lapointe will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. The death of Sir Tom Crittenden, millionaire and leading industrialist, has given rise to a strange and contradictory case in Fulchester Crown Court. Sir Tom's will left half his assets to his wife, Lady Dorothy, and half to be divided equally between his living legitimate offspring. It was thought that the beneficiaries here could be only Sir Tom's son Bernard and his daughter Kate. But 2 months after Sir Tom's death, a young man turned up in London, claiming to be the industrialist's son by an early marriage to one Mari Caballo in the Katanga district of the Congo, where Sir Tom had spent a period of his early life and laid the foundations of his fortune. Raoul Lapointe, who pressed his claim with the Crittenden family solicitor Wilfrid Bowers and received £6,000 pending settlement, is now charged with obtaining money by deception. Giving evidence, Lady Dorothy Crittenden has admitted that the name Lapointe, which appears in brackets on a birth certificate the accused has presented as part proof of identity, is in fact the maiden name of Sir Tom's mother. Lady Dorothy further accused Lapointe of being a liar and claims his birth certificate to be a blatant forgery.
I've only one or two more questions, Lady Dorothy. In 1946, when Sir Tom Crittenden wished to be free of his marriage to Marie Caballo, did he ever say why he didn't seek an annulment rather than a divorce? Can you tell us?
I beg your pardon.
You were there with him in Leopoldville when the arrangements were made, you've told us. You've also told us that he was desperately ill when he contracted the marriage. That would seem to suggest that he wasn't in possession of his faculties. Wouldn't it have been simpler for him to seek an annulment? A simple declaration that a true marriage had never taken place.
Well, yes. That was the course that my father suggested, but Tom refused.
Why, Lady Dorothy?
I've no idea.
Your father's dead now, isn't he?
Yes.
And Sir Tom's father?
Yes.
Then we've only got you to ask about it, haven't we? Didn't Sir Tom give you a single reason for seeking a divorce rather than an annulment?
Very well. Tom insisted on a divorce. He said it would be more honourable.
More honourable?
Yes. He said he had to think of the Katangan woman. If he sought an annulment and succeeded, she, being a simple soul, would feel she'd never been really married to him.
And he was most anxious that she should feel she'd been married to him, was he?
Well, that was just how he felt at the time. He was still sick, you know. We had to humour him.
Yes.
He just wanted the Katangan woman to know that however brief their liaison, it had been lawful and meaningful in his eyes.
So that as a consequence, any possible offspring of the marriage might be considered legitimate.
I object, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Harvester, there doesn't seem to me at all a proper question to put to the witness.
I apologise, my lord. Lady Dorothy, were you acquainted with the terms of your husband's will before he died?
Oh, yes. Tom always liked me to know about those things. We discussed it just before he settled the final form.
You knew then that your children had been described in it as living legitimate offspring, did you?
Yes.
Didn't that strike you as strange wording? Formal to the point of absurdity?
No. It was just Tom's way. He loved the precise phrase. It was only with the greatest difficulty I could persuade him not to refer to me throughout the document as his relict.
Now, you've testified, Lady Dorothy, that shortly after you'd advanced money to my client, you heard him say something sinister. Do you say that it was then that you became opposed actively towards him?
Yes, that's right.
And you'd really have us believe that before that you were approaching him with an open mind?
Yes, I was.
I suggest you never had an open mind at all, did you? You had deep reasons for not having an open mind.
You do say the most offensive things, young
Lady
man.
Dorothy, wasn't there one reason above all others that was calculated to make you permanently hostile to Raoul Lapointe? A reason that nobody has dared to breathe so far in this court?
This is ridiculous.
And didn't that reason ensure that even through your period of supposed tolerance towards this intruder, you would continue to work against him powerfully and deviously?
Mr. Harvesty, excuse me. You seem to have lost me completely. I wonder what reason it is that you're referring to.
No further questions.
Thank you, Lady Dorothy.
You may stand down, Lady Dorothy.
I call Mr. Bernard Crittenden, my lord.
Bernard Crittenden, please.
You are Bernard Crittenden, son of the late Sir Tom.
I am.
What is your address?
84 Court Street, Fulchester.
And your occupation?
I'm in journalism on the staff of the Daily Clarion, training for an editorial position.
I see. Mr. Crittenden, have you ever met the accused in this case, Raoul Lapointe?
Yes. Mr. Lapointe claims to be the son of my late father by an early marriage he made in the Belgian Congo. His claim was conveyed to me and my family by our solicitor, Mr. Wilfrid Byers. I have certain proof to put before the court. I shall demonstrate that the birth certificate is a forged document.
I now refer your lordship to Exhibit 2, the birth certificate and the attached report. The report proceeds from the firm Weatherby & Clark, private investigators and experts in the field of counterfeit and forgery.
Yes, Miss Tate, yes, I see. May I ask you, Miss Tate, why you are not calling expert testimony?
This report, in fact, merely confirms discoveries made about the document by Mr. Crittenden himself, my lord, and it is an agreed document.
This witness initially made the discoveries.
Yes, my lord.
He has a certain skill in these matters?
Your lordship may care to think so. I ask you to remember that throughout his investigation, Mr. Crittenden had at his disposal the facilities of a great newspaper, in particular, the photo analysis section. With the court's permission, we shall require some particular photographic blow-ups which have been prepared.
Very well, Miss Tate. You may leave the box, Mr. Crittenden, if it will make it easier for you.
Thank you, my lord. Now, this is the birth certificate, as Raoul Lapointe presented it to Mr. Bowers. You will observe the date, May the 2nd, 1947. Here are the names of the child, Raoul Edouard. Here are the names of the parents. Also the signature of the acting registrar, Auguste Van Helm, sans permission. The name Lapointe has been added after the child's names. I don't think there can be any doubt that this is in a different hand, not that of the Reverend Van Helm, in other words. The folds and creases of the document, as also the character of the paper itself, would seem to indicate that it is old, of original issue, in fact. But I invite you to look a little more closely at one of these folds. There's a strange effect of splitting or expansion of the surface. This, as the report from Weatherby and Clark entirely agrees, is significant with the paper having been gently heated at some stage to produce discoloration and consequent effect of age. Of course, that doesn't indicate a great deal in itself. Such effects could conceivably have been caused by an accident. But a still closer look at the top right-hand corner of the document, however, gives us this, the watermark. Now, this is something of a curiosity. It is, in fact, the registered mark of the Rollinson Paper Mills, Swyford, Lancashire. Now, you'll say there's nothing strange about a British-made paper turning up in the depths of the Belgian Congo. Well, no, there isn't. But in point of fact, as I can demonstrate to the court if required, the other certificate, the marriage document, was printed on Belgian paper, and Rollinson's claim never to have done any trade with that part of Africa. They couldn't possibly have supplied the paper for the certificate dated 1947 anyway. The simple fact is, they didn't start up in business until 1955.
In support of that last statement, my lord, I need only refer you to the investigatory report.
I see. Thank you, Miss Tate.
Mr. Crittenden, when you discovered that the birth certificate was a forgery, what did you do exactly?
I arranged for Weatherby and Clark to make a similar examination, and when I found their conclusions were the same, I went straight to the police.
I see. Thank you. You may return to the witness box.
Mr. Crittenden, when exactly did you carry out your investigations into the certificates which led to this dramatic discovery?
At about the beginning of February last. I had the documents a month before I was satisfied that the birth certificate was a forgery.
I see. But Mr. Lapointe had come to England and begun to press his claim in the previous December, hadn't he?
Yes.
It was quite a time, Mr. Crittenden, before it crossed your mind that the documents might be forged.
We were concerned with other lines of investigation at first. The judgment of the Zaire Legation Authority, that took a little time to get.
And in the event proved entirely positive.
Oh, yes.
That's a bit odd too, isn't it, Mr. Crittenden?
No, not really. I've no doubt it's a very good forgery. I don't take Lapointe for a fool. Coming from where he does, with intimate knowledge of the requirements, well, he'd obviously see to it that the thing looked right, wouldn't he?
Then you don't doubt that my client actually comes from where he says he does, and knows somewhere and so on?
No. My guess is he's a lad from the mission, all right, just as he says, and grew up on this extraordinary story about a nurse, Marie Caballo, who once married an Englishman, and then one day saw a way in which he could turn it into profit for himself.
As you say, your guess. Quite. Anyway, you let some weeks roll by before you wondered if the documents might be forgeries.
Not let some weeks roll by. That sounds dilatory. Merely mark time. We had to proceed with great care, after all. My mother's panic fear lest it should have...
I'm sorry, Mr. Crittenden, what was that? Panic fear?
I'm simply saying that my mother could never really believe Lapointe was actually my father's child. Never at any time. So naturally she was afraid. We had to explore one avenue at a time, meticulously, if we were ever going to disprove this absurd contention.
Yet why was it such an absurd contention? Why shouldn't Raoul Lapointe have been your father's son?
Because my father wasn't such an ass.
I beg your pardon?
Alone, cut off from civilization, far from well, he took an African wife. That sort of thing's happened before, you know. But no matter what condition he was in, he certainly would have seen to it there wasn't...
Yes, Mr. Crittenden, that there wasn't what?
It's of no importance.
You were going to say a child, weren't you? A coloured child. And that was your worry, and the reason for your mother's panic fear, the idea of having a black in the family. I've no further questions. Mr. Lapointe, I should like you to summarize your background for us, please, just in your own words.
Yes, sir, I hope I can. I was born in Zaire, in Katanga, in 1947. I was born in the mission, in a little village called Sampwe. My mother was a nurse at that place.
Yes, your mother. Now, what was her name?
Marie Caballo.
And your father?
I never knew my father, sir. He was divorced with my mother before I was born, but he was a white man and not of my mother's race.
What languages did you speak as a child?
I spoke the dialect of my mother's tribe and also French.
Would you feel happier giving your evidence in French now, Mr. Lapointe?
No, it is all right. I speak English pretty good. My mother was anxious for me to speak English, so she got the missionary at Sampwe, Mr. Van Helm, to teach me.
Why was she so anxious for you to speak English?
Because she told me my father was an Englishman and that one day I would have the chance to meet him.
Did she ever tell you his name?
Oh, yes. From when I was a little boy, she told me his name was Tom Crittenden. She also gave me 2 certificates. One certificate to say she was married with Tom Crittenden, and the other certificate to say I was born with him for my father.
Are those the certificates which you presented to Mr. Bowers, the solicitor, when you came to England last December?
That's so, sir, yes.
And are they the certificates which have been introduced in evidence in court today?
No, sir, I'm not so sure about that.
I beg your pardon.
I think the marriage certificate I showed to Mr. Bowers is the one all right, but the other one, no.
Yes, well, we shall return to that in due course. Did your mother ever tell you that your father knew of your existence?
I'm sorry, sir.
You've explained that your mother and father were divorced before you were born, but did she ever say to you that he knew there had been a child of their marriage?
Oh, yes. She told me he had given her money so that I could be brought up right. He was most particular that I should not be without anything I truly needed.
Did your mother then speak of the divorce ever? How it happened? Why?
No, not much. I think it was pretty sad for her. When I was older, I asked her many times, and she told me finally it was because some people came from my father's country and were deeply shocked at the marriage. And they said it had to be ended. But my father really didn't want it that way. And these people, they talked and talked to him until finally he gave in. He cried when he told my mother the marriage had to be ended and that he had to leave her.
Yes, I see. Mr. Lapointe, how did your mother die? When was it?
I was 16 at the time. Mr. Van Helm was still teaching me, and then there was trouble, fighting.
The Katangan riots?
Yes. It was something to do with the tribes and a new government in Leopoldville. But I did not know much about this because I was small. But my mother and I were living in the mission, and for the tribes, this meant we were the same as Belgians. They came just one night. There was no warning. I was asleep on the veranda of my mother's hut. And then I heard noises from inside, screaming. My mother was screaming for me to run away. It was terrible. Everything was on fire, the houses, the hospital. I could not find Mr. Van Helm or anyone. And then they started to come for me. So I just had to run for my life into the bush. And I stayed there the whole night, and the next day too, while the killing and the screaming and the burning went on. And then, when it was quiet, I went back, and my mother was dead. Murdered. It seemed like everyone was dead. There was nothing, nobody, only the dead.
So what did you do?
I did not know what to do. I had no family, no money. So eventually I went to Leopoldville, Kinshasa as they call it now. And I worked there for 7 years, saving my money and learning to speak English better so that one day I could see my father in England.
And in the event, that's what you did, is it?
Yes, sir. It took a long time. My wages were not so good. But last November I had enough money to come to London, so I came. And then when I get here, I find my father had died. There were things in the papers. He was an important man. They made him a sir.
Knighted him, yes.
And then I went to see the lawyers the papers talked about, Mr. Bowers, and I told him who I was, and I showed him the certificate to prove it.
And as we know, Mr. Bowers submitted the certificates to the Zaire authorities, who pronounced them genuine.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Lapointe, did you then ask Mr. Bowers for money?
Oh, yes, I did.
Why was that, please?
I was the son of Sir Tom Crittenden. I had some right to some of the money. I was poor. It is difficult to get work in England. So I asked Mr. Bowers for some money to live on, and then I asked him for some money to get a place to stay.
During these various negotiations with Mr. Bowers, had you met with Lady Dorothy Crittenden and with her children Bernard and Kate?
Yes, I met them. I met Lady Dorothy twice. The first time was at Mr. Bowers' office, and she came with her children, Bernard and Kate. I think she was shocked to see me.
Shocked?
Yes. She would not speak to me direct, only through Mr. Bowers. She would not listen, she only talked. Bernard was the same. Only Kate wanted to listen to what I had to say. I think she even liked me a little bit.
And the second time, Mr. Lapointe?
That was at Lady Dorothy's house. That was very strange. She told me there had been areas of doubt and that I was to have some money for the time being. But she still was not very friendly, you know. She would not talk to me. She kept looking out of the window, you know.
Lady Dorothy has testified that on the occasion of that second visit, she overheard a conversation between you and her daughter in which you said, "That was easy. That was just too easy. If the rest of it is half as easy, I'll make out I'm twins. Whoever put it around honesty was the best policy."
No, I never said those things, sir.
Are you quite sure that you didn't, Mr. Lapointe?
Oh, I made some joke to Kate about what if I were twins, yes. And I also said talking to her mother had been a lot easier than I thought, but I never said those things about honesty and such the like, no.
You're suggesting then that Lady Dorothy's memory of that conversation may be a little at fault?
Or else she's telling lies.
Oh, come, that's a little bit strong, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, sir. There are strange things about Lady Dorothy and Bernard. This birth certificate, my birth certificate is supposed to be, that we saw a while ago, the blow-up. I say that that is not the certificate I showed to Mr. Bowers and had all my life.
It isn't the certificate?
No, sir.
How can you be so sure of that?
Well, after my Christian name's Raoul Edward, the name Lapointe was put on the certificate afterwards by my mother. Only when she was writing the name Lapointe, she made a mistake and she spilled some ink on the paper. So where is the sign there that she rubbed out the mess and wrote the name again? Even though it looks like my mother's handwriting, I know that was never my certificate.
Are you saying, then, that this forged document was substituted for the one which you presented to Mr. Bowers?
Yes, sir. I mean, the first time my certificate was investigated, the Zaire legation found it genuine. Well, I should think these people should know. The second time, Bernard does it, and it comes back a fraud.
Let me be quite clear about this, Mr. Lapointe. You are maintaining that the birth certificate entered in evidence here is not the one that you entrusted to Mr. Bowers, and, in fact, that a substitution would seem to have been made while that document was in the possession of Bernard Crittenden.
Yes, my lord, that is correct.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lapointe. I have no further questions.
Well, really, Mr. Lapointe, one hardly knows where to begin with you. Not only in your submission has Lady Dorothy Crittenden lied under oath, but now you say that Bernard Crittenden is a forger and a trickster.
That birth certificate is not the one I showed to Mr. Bowers, madam, I know it.
Well, naturally, you'd have to say something like that now that it's been proved a forgery.
No, madame.
Well, let's just stick to the things we can substantiate, shall we? Now, there's only one real issue in this case, and that is whether you actually are, or sincerely believed yourself to be, the true son of Sir Tom Crittenden. Now, you do realize, don't you, that however many documents you can present to us here today, that doesn't prove that you are his son. However, curiously enough, the production of a forged document does rather suggest that you are not, for it suggests an intention of deceit.
I didn't forge any birth certificate, I didn't.
Bernard Crittenden did, however?
Well, I can't be sure of that.
Mr. Lapointe, you say that your mother told you your father insisted you should bear the name Lapointe rather than his own name.
Yes.
Now, isn't this a rather strange condition for a man to make who, if we can believe all we're told, was anxious at all times to recognize you as his legitimate son?
Well, it was forced on him maybe by the people that disagreed with the marriage. Lapointe is the family name of Sir Tom. How would I even have that if it was not given by him?
Oh, come, Mr. Lapointe, you do yourself an injustice. That wouldn't be a difficult piece of information for an ambitious young fortune hunter like yourself to ferret out, would it?
You've got no right to talk to me like this.
Well, we've only got your word for it that the name Lapointe on the certificate was ever in your mother's hand. It could well have been in your own assumed hand, like the rest of the writing.
No, it's lies, all lies.
Is it, Mr. Lapointe, is it really? Well, then you'll just have to tell us something we find a little easier to believe, won't you? Do you realize you said nothing, not one single word, that would convince any rational person that you are indeed the son of Sir Tom Crittenden, industrialist, respected Britisher, millionaire?
All right. All right. You will please listen to me. My father ran away from this country when he was 13 years old. He ran away because he wanted to raise horses, but his father wouldn't let him. He was only found again because he fell from a train and got a bad injury to his leg. He carried that scar for the rest of his life. That was 4 centimeters long and was just below the right knee. He also had a birthmark on his right shoulder blade. The saddest thing that ever happened to my father when he was a boy was a pet goat dying. The name of that goat was Caddy. You want more, madame, or is that enough for now? How would I know these things if they were not told to me by my mother, Marie Caballo? I am Raoul Edward Lapointe, son of Sir Tom.
The case of the Queen against Lapointe will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Raoul Lapointe, who claims to be the son of the late Sir Tom Crittenden, industrialist and millionaire, by his brief marriage to a tribal woman in the Katanga district of the Congo, is accused of obtaining money by deception. The prosecution, depending heavily on evidence from Lady Dorothy Crittenden, Sir Tom's widow, and her son Bernard, has established that the birth certificate Raoul Lapointe presented as part proof of his identity is in fact a forgery. Lapointe has countered by claiming it's not the same certificate as was taken away by Bernard Crittenden for analysis, and that therefore a substitution has been made. Lapointe has also shown such a remarkable knowledge of intimate details about the late Sir Tom that, it suggested, he could only have obtained from Marie Caballo, the nurse from the Sampwe mission whom Sir Tom married, and who is arguably Lapointe's mother. Now Mr. Stephen Harvesty, appearing for the accused, has called to the witness box Mr. Antoine Umbula of the legal department of the diplomatic mission of the Republic of Zaire.
So, Mr. Umbula, is that the same birth certificate as was sent to you by Mr. Wilfrid Bowers and which you scrutinized at your legation office?
Very difficult to say, I'm afraid.
Yes, it's also extremely important. This certificate has been branded a forgery, yet you pronounced the one that was sent to you to be genuine, didn't you?
I'm certain the one sent to me was genuine.
Why so certain, Mr. Umbula?
Because it was very hard making a judgment about it. I consulted my assistants and we examined it separately. Yet in the end, we came to the conclusion that it was right.
Then can the birth certificate, which you have there in your hand, actually be the one that was sent to you?
No, I think not. The one we saw was genuine.
Thank you. Now, you say it was very hard making a judgment about that certificate. Why was it so hard, Mr.
You
Bull?
must remember that until very recently, we never had the kind of comprehensive system in Africa that you enjoy in Europe. The old Congo, in fact, is not too much to say, was by guess and by God. The country areas, we almost entirely depended on the missions and the records they kept. But then, ironically enough, it was the missions that were destroyed in the riots before independence.
Yes, quite. Now, before he left Kinshasa for London, Raoul Lapointe was issued with a passport, was he not?
Yes, obviously.
Well, that would mean then that the local authorities in Kinshasa must have been entirely satisfied with his birth certificate.
Of course.
And you and your authorities in London were perfectly satisfied with it there. Thank you.
Mr. Mbula, when you received the birth certificate from Mr. Bowers, you immediately suspected that it might be a forgery, did you, and submitted it to the appropriate tests?
I beg your pardon?
Well, I say that you took into consideration the fact that it might well be a forgery, and consequently tested it for age, authenticity, type of paper used, etc.
No, we didn't do any tests like that.
Really? Well, what sort of tests did you do then?
We just wanted to make sure it was the kind of document that could have come out of the area somewhere at the time it said. We made some comparisons as far as we could. Eventually, we got a hold of some writings by the missionary Van Ham. The handwriting seemed the same.
Naturally. No one's suggesting it's anything less than a clever forgery. Now, were there any distinguishing marks on it that you recall, Mr. Mbula?
Distinguishing marks?
Anything unusual, anything you remember. Mistakes in the writing, sign of erasures, perhaps.
No, I don't remember anything like that.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Mbula.
May this witness be released, my lord?
Certainly may leave now, if you so wish, Mr. Umbula.
For my next witness, my lord, I call Miss Kate Crittenden.
Kate Crittenden, please.
You are Kate Crittenden, daughter of the late Sir Tom.
I am.
And is your permanent address the same as your mother's?
It is.
What is your occupation, please?
I'm a student at Cambridge.
I should like you to tell the court, if you would, Miss Crittenden, whether or not you know the accused, Raoul Lapointe, and if so, what precisely is your connection with him?
Oh, yes, I know Raoul all right. And my connection with him is a blood connection. He's my half-brother.
You say that with great conviction, Miss Crittenden.
Why shouldn't I?
Well, it's been suggested in court that Raoul Lapointe is not what he says he is, the son of Marie Caballo and Tom Crittenden.
Oh, yes. That would be the business of the birth certificate, no doubt, which my brother Bernard had analysed and gleefully pronounced a forgery. But I'm not concerned in things like that. It never occurred to me, in fact, that Raoul's case could stand or fall on a piece of paper. My mother and Bernard simply didn't want a black man as a relative. It was as uncomplicated as that. They found the whole idea of Raoul inconvenient. Therefore, they worked consciously and deliberately to discredit him.
What convinces you of that, Miss Crittenden?
Well, one night after my mother had told Raoul she didn't mean to oppose him any longer, I was in the library of our house looking for a book. Bernard and my mother came and they were in mid-conversation, unaware I was there. And Bernard said to my mother, "Well, I've asked for his certificates again. That's the first step." And my mother answered, "Are you sure we're acting in the right way? Will it succeed?" And Bernard said, "I know what I'm doing. By the time I've finished with Raoul Lapointe now, he won't have a leg to stand on." Well, then there were some remarks I couldn't quite hear. But eventually my mother said, "Well, what about the money? Was I wise in letting him have it?" And Bernard said, "It's better. It means we'll get him on a charge in the end."
Thank you, Miss Crittenden.
Miss Crittenden, you suggested from the very beginning that your mother and your brother Bernard were distressed by the idea of having to accept a coloured man as a member of the family.
Yes, I'm convinced that's true.
And you, on the other hand, were overjoyed by the prospect, weren't you?
I'm sorry I don't follow that.
Well, it's very simple. I'm simply drawing attention to the difference in ideology between you and...
Ideology doesn't come into this, you know. No, there aren't two points of view about the racial question. There can't be. We're all equal and human beings, and that's the end of it.
Oh, please, I'm not stirring up controversy, merely clarifying attitudes as far as possible. Now, to put it crudely, the first reaction of your mother and your brother Bernard was to get Raoul Lapointe out of the family. whereas your first reaction was to get him in.
Very well, but what does that prove?
Why, simply that your judgments throughout are likely to be influenced by that basic approach. Furthermore, this conversation that you overheard in the library, what conclusions exactly do you expect us here today to draw from that?
Conclusions?
Yes. You see, it's been shown that the birth certificate before the court is a forgery. Now, the really relevant question is who perpetrated the forgery. Are you suggesting that your mother, Lady Dorothy, and your brother Bernard did?
I'm merely reporting what I heard. It certainly indicates some sort of plot afoot, I should have thought.
But a nefarious plot, Miss Crittenden. You see, when we consider the actual words that you report, they only seem to say that Bernard had asked for Raoul Lepointe's certificates again, possibly to examine them a little more closely, that both he and your mother still seemed to think that Lepointe was a fraud, and that Lady Dorothy was nervous.
There's also the remark about Raoul getting money so that they could get him on a charge in the end, isn't there? That's hardly so innocent.
Well, obviously, if Lepointe was a fraud, then criminal charges would follow. On the other hand, if he had established himself as genuine, then no one could complain that money had been withheld.
You're twisting everything to suit your own case now.
Just as you, Miss Crittenden, are twisting everything to suit your ideology. Now, why is it, if it's not sheer awkward-mindedness, that you state so categorically that Raoul Lepointe is your half-brother?
He had attitudes, ways that reminded me of my father right from the start. And then he seemed to know so much. About the scar my father carried on his leg and how it got there, his birthmark and so on.
Well, surely those would not be difficult things for a confidence trickster to find out?
They'd have been rather hard for him, in my view. But then there were other things that only I knew about my father, and Raoul seemed to know about them too.
Really, Miss Crittenden, what sort of other things?
Well, I've got to go back a bit. You see, in the 12 months or so preceding his death, I got to know my father in a new way. He began to talk to me, really talk about his life. And he talked in particular about the Congo and about his marriage to Marie Caballo. That wasn't the way I thought it had been, the way anybody thought. It was love, true love. He wasn't as sick as they all tried to make out afterwards. He told me, in fact, that loving Marie had been like a shaft of light in his life. And he had a favourite name for her, a term of endearment that's actually the name for bright red flower in Katanga. And when I first met Raoul, I asked him if he knew what Tom Crittenden called his wife Marie, and he said at once, Casadula Umbwe.
Casadula Umbwe. That's the name of a flower?
Yes.
And you believed, you, Miss Crittenden, that no one else but yourself and Marie Caballo's son would have known that?
I'm sure no one else knew of it. My father told me that he'd never told anybody else about it in his whole life.
Miss Crittenden, if your father was being so frank with you in these discussions he had in the last days of his life, then presumably he did tell you about the existence of Marie Caballo's child, that his name was Lepointe.
Well, you see, when it came to things like that...
Did he tell you, or did he not?
No, he didn't. But
Now, here's a remarkable thing. A man talking to his daughter about his early life mentions something as remote as the pet name by which he called his first wife, and yet doesn't mention that she conceived and bore him a child.
Perhaps he would have told me in time. He had a guilty conscience about it. I believe now he thought the time wasn't right to confide in me.
No further questions, my lord.
Mr. Harvesty, is something the matter?
My lord, I've just received news which is of the utmost importance to this trial. It seems that the old missionary Van Helm is still alive. He lives in retirement in Belgium, but we have contacted him and we hope he'll be in court tomorrow.
Harvesty, are you ready to proceed now?
Yes, my lord, I'm happy to say my next witness is in court. I call the Reverend Auguste Van Helm.
Reverend Auguste Van Helm, please.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Auguste Van Helm, Baptist minister and missionary, presently of Charleroi, Belgium.
Yes, this is my name, Van Helm.
One moment, please, Mr. Harvester. Perhaps Mr. Van Helm would care to sit while he gives his evidence. Nurse, would you...
No. I will not sit. A man should stand while he has his legs still yet. No. Van Helm will stand.
Mr. Van Helm, until it was destroyed by rioters, were you in charge of the mission and hospital at Sampwe in Katanga?
Sampwe, yes, I remember Sampwe. 25, 30 years I am in Sampwe. Then there is trouble, fighting. Sampwe is burned.
Yes, terrible time for you, as we all know. But during that time there, did you by any chance know the accused in this case, Raoul Lapointe?
Raoul Lapointe? Oh, il y en a un grand brouillard devant les yeux. C'est impossible de voir clairement avec assurance.
Nurse, what is he saying, please?
Il said, Monsieur Van Helm suffers very much with the eyes. He can no longer see the persons or the objects, only quite close.
Oh, I see. Well, in that case, Mr. Harvester, I think it would be quite suitable if the accused were to leave the dock and approach the witness.
I'm obliged, my lord.
Do you remember Raoul Lapointe at Sampwe, Mr. Van Helm?
No, Sampwe, yes, it was at the school. The school, oh, this is very sad. The school and the hospital, too. They was most good. Why then did they burn them?
Can you identify this man for us, please, Mr. Van Helm?
Identify Raoul. Raoul, c'est vrai, évidemment. C'est Raoul. Oh, comme vous êtes grand maintenant.
Merci. Je suis bien heureux de vous rencontrer encore.
C'est incroyable.
Non, monsieur, c'est moi, Raoul.
This is unquestionably Raoul Lapointe, whom you educated at the mission at Sampwe. Is it, Mr. Van Helm? There can be no possibility of a mistake.
But of course this is Raoul, Monsieur le Juge. I know Raoul well.
Can you tell us anything concerning his parentage?
Comment?
Did you know his father?
The father?
Yes, exactly. Was his name Lapointe the same as his son's, or was it something different? Can you tell us? My lord, perhaps it would be easier for Mr. Van Helm, first of all, to recall Raoul Lapointe's mother. After all, she did work as a nurse at the mission hospital. Mr. Van Helm can hardly have forgotten Marie Caballo.
With respect, my lord, I really must object. The counsel for the defence is virtually putting the answers in the witness's mouth.
My learned friend might appreciate that Mr. Van Helm is a man greatly advanced in years, having difficulty with his memory. I'm merely wishing to assist him just a little.
My lord, there is a profound difference between jogging the witness's memory and instructing him in things which he can hardly have forgotten.
Thank you both. That will do. Your objection is noted, Miss Tate, but there are certain issues which must be cleared up in this case if humanly possible, and it is my feeling that a certain latitude must be tolerated. Now, Mr. Van Helm, do you remember a marriage that you witnessed in Sampwe in 1946 between Marie Caballo and Thomas Crittenden, an Englishman?
Marie Caballo.
Well, now, we have here a certificate of marriage. Usher, would you? Your signature is on it, so presumed it is the one issued by you. Perhaps seeing it will help you.
Merci, monsieur.
It was a marriage between a white man and a colored woman, if that is of any help to you. You cannot have solemnized many such marriages during the course of your ministry.
Oh. Marie Caballo. Oh, c'était triste. La pauvre Marie.
You recall the marriage, Mr. Van Helm?
Marie, so young, so brave. She was poor Marie. Poor Marie.
Now, Mr. Van Helm, my next question is of the first importance. Was there a child of that marriage between Marie Caballo and Thomas Crittenden?
Poor Marie, she was alone. It was the end for her then. Yes, the tribe would not have her back now she had married to a white man. It was the end for her. Poor Marie. Poor Marie.
Now, please, I will put the question again. Was there a child of that marriage?
A child?
You are saying yes? Yes, that there was a child.
What is this you are saying to me about a child? Do you not know, monsieur, that all the children in Swampway are dead? Dead. The fire took them. The fire, or the knives of all those devils.
Mr. Van Helm.
But it was terrible, and the children, there was nothing I could do for them, monsieur. Do you not know that their blood ran down upon my clothes, their cries fell, rang in my head, and I could only run away. My legs carried me many days into the bush. But why? Why did you not know? Did you not know that we only wanted to do good to you and your people? How could you give us back such evil?
Yes, I think perhaps you'd better.
Oh, black men, white men, I never cared for such things, and the children. Oh, les pauvres petits. Les petits enfants.
Members of the jury, that we can only conclude that Mr. August Van Helm will not be able to assist us. That means that we are still without positive identification of the accused as the son of the late Sir Thomas Crittenden. And Mr. Lapointe, you may return to the dock.
That is the case for the defense, my lord.
State, are you pursuing the suggestion that the accused obtained money by deception? To do so, the evidence must be that someone paid money over because they were deceived.
My lord, I think I'm prepared to accept that neither Lady Dorothy nor her son nor Mr. Bowers believe the story. But it is still open for me to press, and I do press, the charge of attempting to obtain property by deception.
Very well, Miss Tate. I think you're right to drop the full charge.
I'm obliged, my lord. Members of the jury, there are two questions for you to consider in this case. Firstly, is Raoul Lapointe the son of Sir Thomas Crittenden, or did he genuinely believe himself to be such when he so presented himself to Lady Crittenden and Mr. Bowers? It is my submission that the answer to both questions is no, and that he is guilty of the charges against him. Now, a vital matter in this case, members of the jury, is the birth certificate. Mr. Bowers has testified that the document in court is the one shown to him by Mr. Lapointe. Mr. Rambulla tells us that he remembers no distinguishing marks when he saw it. But Mr. Lapointe suggests that Lady Dorothy Crittenden and her son have gone to the trouble of forming an elaborate forgery and introduced this supposedly new forgery to the court today. However, if what Mr. Lapointe says is true, then throughout his life, Sir Thomas Crittenden must have been a venal, sanctimonious hypocrite who fathered a child in his early marriage, fobbed off all responsibility with a payment, very small by his standards, to the mother, refused the child his name, never mentioned him to his second wife or daughter, and yet, conveniently, left a loophole in the will for a claim by describing his children as living, legitimate offspring. Is it not convenient, members of the jury, that Mr. Lapointe came to England to seek his father at the precise time that that will, with the particular phrasing, living legitimate offspring, was so well publicized? It is my submission, members of the jury, that Raoul Lapointe was a boy from the mission school at Sampuay, but not the son of Sir Thomas Crittenden, and as such is guilty of the charge against him.
Members of the jury, my learned friend asks if you can really believe that Lady Dorothy Crittenden and her son Bernard have entered into an elaborate conspiracy against the accused. Well, I will not shrink from that suggestion. Indeed, I submit it is most obvious and justified. Firstly, the Zaire authorities in Kinshasa issued a passport to Raoul Lapointe on the evidence of his birth certificate. The Zaire legation authorities in London pronounced that same certificate to be genuine. Now it appears that same certificate is a forgery. Yet I invite you to consider that it was Mr. Bernard Crittenden who so dramatically discovered that fact. How remarkable and how convenient. Unhappily, Mr. Van Helm was unable to offer the positive identification of Raoul Lapointe, which the defense had hoped for. But you'll remember, on the other hand, that he was not unfamiliar with the name Lapointe. If, as the prosecution has suggested, Mr. Van Helm today simply recognized an orphan boy from his old mission, then how did that boy come by the name of Lapointe? Lapointe, which is the maiden name of Sir Tom Crittenden's mother. Let us not cry coincidence. No, ladies and gentlemen, the man you see in the dock today is the man that he believes himself to be. The son of Sir Tom Crittenden by his early marriage. He therefore committed no crime when he sought money from his father's estate, as was his right so to do. He is not guilty, and I ask you to record that fact with your verdict.
Now, members of the jury, I must remind you that the burden of proof rests with the prosecution, and they must therefore prove beyond all reasonable doubt that the accused's representation to be the son of the late Sir Thomas Crittenden was false, and that the accused knew it to be false. You've heard that the prosecution have dropped the full charge of obtaining money by deception because none of the prosecution witnesses said that they relied upon the representation when paying the money over. So the only charge is of attempting to obtain money by deception. Now, members of the jury, will you kindly retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant, Raoul Lapointe, guilty or not guilty of attempting to obtain money by deception?
Not guilty.
Next week, a chance for you to join another jury in assessing the facts when our cameras return to watch a leading case in the Crown Court.